80,000 seats in the place.
And that's a lot of money.
Jim Brown is McClane, a dark horse with a bright idea.
500,000 split 6 ways.
I don't like who I'm working with.
Either they're all locked in or none of us are.
In McClane's violent underworld, they judge a man by the color of the money he steals. They were having the time of their lives until it came time for the split.
What are you guys trying to pull? Some kind of 50-50 split here? Convince me you didn't set it up.
I want my money, McLean.
Oh, what do you feel like doing tonight?
I don't know, Ange. What do you feel like doing?
I'm Paul,
I'm Mark.
and this is The Importance of Being Earnest. Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff.
Almost as good as Ernest Work.
That's right. All right, guys. Folks, don't let the hat fool you. This is The Importance of Being Earnest.
So good.
I won't go into why. Let's just say it'll make a return in the next episode.
Correct. Tonight we are reviewing the 1968-9 neo-noir heist film, The Split.
I hear you're quite athletic. Phone's disconnected anyway. The gun in your desk is unloaded.
Now, wait just a minute, Chief. You've made a big mistake.
You erased me.
Oh. What the hell was that all about?
I can't do it as well as the trailer guy does, but here we go. When professional thief McClane returns to Los Angeles, he meets up with old flame Gladys and hatches a scheme to rob a sports arena during a sold-out game. McClane rounds up a driver, a safecracker, a sharpshooter, and some muscle, played by the esteemed Ernest Borgnine. And the group successfully pulls off the heist. Trouble arises, however, when a nasty landlord and a dirty cop screw up their plans, and the gang thinks McClane is responsible.
And wackiness ensues.
So tonight's cast is a star-studded cast.
To say the least.
It is, really, it is. So starring as professional thief McClane is Jim Brown, football fame and Hammer and Slammer fame.
And I'm gonna get you sucker fame.
Yep.
Was it Mars Attacks fame?
Yes. We as Ellie is Diane Carroll.
And of the Star Wars Holiday Special fame.
Yeah. And that's his old, and McClane's quite the guy. This is old flame number one.
Yeah.
And then as Bert Klinger, some muscle, is, of course, our esteemed Ernest Borgnine.
He looks like a Burt.
Yeah, he does. Bert Klinger. Yeah. And then as Old Flame, the original Old Flame is Gladys, played by Julie Harris.
Flo was busy that day.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Look at my money. Give the money or kiss my grits.
Kiss my grits, McClane.
Right. The driver is Harry Kifka, played by Jack Klugman of
Former Mr. Brett Summers.
Mr. Brett Summers himself. Yes. Playing Marty Gow, a safecracker, is the esteemed Warren Oates, one of our favorites.
Yes.
From many a film we have watched. And then we have a sharpshooter named Dave Nagill, played by a mod hairdo Donald Sutherland, a very young Donald Sutherland.
His mom might be able to deny him, but Kiefer Sutherland's daddy sure can't.
Yeah. And then playing the evil landlord, Herb Sutro, is James Whitmore, famous of Shawshank Redemption, having his little bird.
That's right.
I gotta feed my little bird. And then finally starring as the is he heroic detective cop?
Yeah.
Lieutenant Walter Brill is played by the esteemed Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman. Give it up.
Yeah.
Give it up for Gene Hackman.
Yes. So, The Split, 1968, written by, or taken from a story by
Richard Stark,
Mhm.
who is also known as Donald Westlake. This is, I guess, was part of the Parker series.
It
He'd
was,
written a bunch of Parker novels, and they all almost all of them got turned into movies. Some of them are really good. Point Blank with Lee Marvin is fantastic.
Mhm.
As much as I don't like Mel Gibson, I actually enjoyed The Payback quite a bit back in the late '90s.
Yeah.
It was pretty. It was pretty accurate. I love heist noir movies, so this was a good
right up our
one for
alley.
me.
Yeah, this is right up our alley.
Yeah.
Yeah, they it goes to show never work with a bunch of other criminals.
Nope.
No.
No honor among thieves, kids.
No.
Don't be fooled.
Yeah, but it's interesting that originally Steve McQueen was set to play McClane. And so interesting that they switched it with I guess Jim Brown was very interested in the script.
Mm-hmm.
And so they gave it to Jim Brown instead. So that makes the film play a little bit differently, I think.
Yeah,
him as the main character.
It changes a few things because one, I wonder, was he going to be Parker?
Right.
Or was it always supposed to be McClane because it's a Parker novel?
Right.
And two, some like, not to put too fine a point on it, but McClane's girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how. I mean, Steve McQueen would have done something like that back
Sure.
then because he didn't give a shit.
Right. Right.
So it'd be interesting. It would have been interesting to see. But I like Jim Brown in this.
Oh yeah, I think he was great. I think he definitely he had a lot of hurdles to overcome, just given. I mean, and they did play that up. They did sort of. I mean, the fact that the cops didn't take him, didn't treat him with any respect. Warren Oates certainly. That character, Marty Gow, did not treat him with any respect whatsoever.
It reminds me a little bit of Odds Against Tomorrow, where Harry Belafonte. It's a heist movie, and Robert Ryan is kind of like the Warren Oates character.
Okay.
See, your stuff always goes back to James Bond.
Right.
Mine's always going back to the Wild Bunch.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, yes.
But yeah, that's what it reminds me of, which is a great movie too, by the way. But sadly, no Ernest Borgnine.
No.
So we won't be talking about it on this show.
No, we won't. Maybe on our another show.
Yes, on our
retro.
What did I decide? Random retro reel review.
Yes. Yeah. So I thought it was for a heist movie.
Mm-hmm.
The director did a lot of interesting shots.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was a little bit of homage to The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. There's the scene where, but they did it was funny. He did it in the context of McClane arguing with Ellie, his old flame number 2, and they do the close-up eye, the angry eye shots.
Yep.
And I thought that was kind of interesting that the normal Western standoff was between the two of them having a clearly an age-old argument coming up again.
Yep.
And him being there pretty much to use her for what he needs. which is really the theme, I think, of the movie of him corrupting her to get her involved in this scheme.
Yeah.
With no, I'm not sure to me with any clear indication. Well, I guess he would have run off with her in the end, I suppose. But
yeah, there wasn't that like we're going to take the money.
No. He never said anything to her. So kind of interesting if he was just using her. And I don't want to get too much into the other stuff, but the beginning of it was really strange. It threw me off. When he decides to hire the crew. It's not like Ocean's 11 where they're all just hanging out at the casino.
Yeah.
He tests each one of them. So he researches in Los Angeles who he needs for his team, but he goes and tests them all to the point where he destroys Jack Klugman's car to see how good of a driver, and his own car, which I'm assuming he stole. But because he didn't seem to care that he was ruining it looked like a 67 vet. And so he tears up Klugman's car, almost drives him off the Hollywood Hills, and then
if it would have been a Steve McQueen movie, though, that scene would have lasted about 27 minutes.
Correct. Yes.
It would have been somehow the highlight of the movie.
Correct. I mean, he puts the safecracker in, and I don't really know how he would have set all that up.
Yeah,
but he sets him up.
He's pretty resourceful.
Yeah. He sets him up in sort of some sort of vault that's going to close, and he's got to work his way out of it or suffocate.
Yeah.
And then with the sharpshooter, he runs him into a room full of mirrors and has a man with a golden gun fight with him to get the sharpshooter. But then he leaves. He never says a word to them. That's my favorite part, is he just disappears, leaving them all not knowing what the hell just happened.
Then smash cut, they're all sitting in a room yelling at each other.
Yeah, yelling at each other, and then yelling at him. Yeah. Who the hell are you, and why have you done all this to us?
I like stories and movies where you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And this had just enough of that to start with to make you go, why is he doing that?
Yeah.
It should pay off. There should be a payoff.
Yeah. The team that comes together and really Gladys is sort of the fixer.
Yeah, Gladys is she's the head of the operation.
Yeah, she's the head of the operation.
Because she was the financier.
Yeah. And this movie wastes no time. I mean, this movie didn't pause to take a breath. I mean, in fact, because you get used to certain tropes in heist movies.
Yeah.
And so there's always, after the big scene of getting the gang together, then there's the sort of the Mission Impossible, let's plan out the entire heist.
Yeah.
And so you hear what's going to happen in the whole heist.
Yeah.
So we're seeing them start to do something. I'm like, are they planning the heist? It's like, are they trying out the heist? But it's the heist. I mean, that happened all off camera. So everything, so you really don't know what's going to happen, which I liked a lot.
And then it slows down.
Yeah.
For the actual heist.
Yes, yeah.
And then it speeds back up right afterwards.
Yeah, but I thought it was interesting that you don't really get, like, in a heist movie, you typically know who's going to do what.
Right.
And in this one, you don't. It all just happens at once. So, but I thought it was interesting that basically what they do is they stake out the safe room. They stake out where the money is counted. All the money is brought back from so this is at the LA Coliseum. The Rams and the Packers are playing, and so they take basically the concession money, the ticket money, the gambling money, all gets brought back to the safe room and counted. And so they just end up breaking in early the night before, and then basically kidnap the team that does all the counting, and then at gunpoint forces them to just take money as it was normal. So I thought that was really cool. It was just like a very low. I mean, there was a lot of tension, but they just were so smooth about it. Like, it just had everything was coming off without a hitch.
Well, one of the things that always bugs me in bank robbery movies, something I'm glad they didn't do here, was in bank robbery movies, for instance. Like I just recently watched Den of Thieves with Gerard Butler for the show that Steve and I do, and there's always that part in a bank robbery movie where, like the security guards or the Brinks truck drivers or the cops get involved. It's like, and then people get shot and killed, and there's people just random
Yeah.
innocent bystanders. Just let them take the damn money. It's insured. No one's gonna lose.
Correct.
But in this case, by stealing from from a stadium, and the fact that nobody behind the counter that they had hostage, like played the hero.
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
No.
You're paying me $250 an hour,
Right, to count money, yeah. And it's mostly rent-a-cops. I
Yeah.
mean, that's who the security guards were.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, they're able to. I thought it was really interesting how, and they show you everyone's involvement. So that
Yeah.
the fact that that's why he got the team.
Yep.
So Borgnine's muscling everybody. The safecracker figures out how to break into this bank room, so they could all be hiding there. Jack Klugman does all the driving of they dress up as when they're all done, they throw all the loot and the guns on a gurney, and they take it to a ambulance, which they were able to get the day before.
Yeah.
And they're dressed as orderlies. So McClane and Harry Kifka leave in an ambulance, like they're taking a body out. Somebody collapsed at the game.
Yep.
And so there is a little bit of tension when they're having trouble getting out of the stadium. The cop.
Well,
There's
you don't
someone
want to
blocking
you don't want to just go off like clockwork.
No.
That's why I never wrote heist.
Yeah.
I love heists, but I'll never write them because I'm terrible when it comes to the glitch.
Yeah.
This one was actually kind of believable.
It was, yeah. So there's a lot of tension. Are the cops going to let them out? Are they going to get caught? The rent-a-cops discover the people tied up. So, the alerts are going off. But I thought it was interesting. Then the sharpshooter comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
And so once the ambulance finally sneaks its way out of the Coliseum parking lot, the sharpshooter is just a guy in a suit. Donald Sutherland's in a suit, is on top of a building, and he just starts taking pot shots at people's tires to cause a giant traffic jam.
Yeah, because
Right,
initially I was hung up on that. I'm like,
Mhm.
any one of these guys would be fine with killing somebody, not
Right.
even really bad, especially Borgnine and
Yeah.
Boots. So why did they have a sharpshooter
Mm-hmm.
hitman for just a heist? But
Yeah.
then when he goes up on the roof, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, very, very low impact.
Yeah, he just takes out the tires and he's done. He leaves. And so and then I thought it was clever that they drive the ambulance over to Borgnine, who's got a truck, who they then drive the ambulance into the back of the truck, and then the truck is what actually leaves. So of course the guys that dressed up as the orderlies are hidden inside the truck. So it was really well planned out for not showing you anything.
Right.
Which
And
I thought the heist was great.
I like heist movies too that deal more with the aftermath of the heist than the heist itself, which is why, of course, Reservoir Dogs.
I was going to say this feels like Reservoir.
Yeah, I
Dogs
think
movie.
Tarantino maybe has watched this movie a couple of times.
Yes, yeah, it definitely has a Reservoir Dogs feel to it. But yeah, a lot of stuff happened off camera, which I thought was interesting. We'll get to some more of it. And I suppose nowadays they would have showed it all, and made a longer movie because it was a shorter, compact movie.
Yeah.
But I don't know if to keep the tension up, they only did essentially what they needed to do.
Well, that was in a time when they weren't making these long movies.
Correct.
So nothing's wasted. Every frame counts.
Mm-hmm.
There's no slow, drawn out artsy stuff in it.
Yeah. So so everything goes off without a hitch. They all get away. And then McClane has to figure out where to stash the money and the guns. And Gladys suggests do it with your ex-girl, your ex-other flame, with Ellie, because she's innocent. Nobody would think that this poor little innocent Ellie girl would have guns and money.
Right.
And so he does just that. He brings 2 giant duffel bags full of one of guns and one of money, and much to her anger, as she says, "You're just using me," he decides to hide it there. But she quickly gets over her anger.
Yeah, let's just say, she made her bed. Now she must die.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. Yeah. So apparently, swimming in money on your bed oh, okay, we can keep it.
I can get used to this.
Which I thought was going to be how things get screwed up.
Mhm.
The fact they had the money on the bed,
Right.
I thought they were going to get interrupted, and I'm like, oh, this is how they lose the money. But nope, that's not what happened. So they make sweet, sweet, successful love, and they
All is forgiven.
all of this with who was doing the soundtrack?
With Quincy Jones,
Quincy Jones.
which I was going to talk about. Man,
Okay.
could you imagine like being the director and whatnot?
Mhm.
And you hire Quincy Jones. You're like, all right, we just need some music, and he's just like, just music. No, I'm going to make this. I'm going to make the soundtrack one of the characters
Oh,
in
yeah,
the movie.
yeah.
This that do
Right.
is gonna be in my head forever now.
Yep. And the
It's
Billy
a great-
Preston opener,
Yeah.
the split was a really good song too,
Mhm.
and has that classic Preston keyboard sound. So yeah, no, the soundtrack was great. So McClane leaves. They're gonna go meet up and split the money later at Ellie's that night, and then the story takes a weird twist. So her creepy old landlord. So apparently she's living there for free.
Yeah.
And is it implied that she's
I think he's just letting her. I don't think
she hasn't given him anything?
No,
Right.
no. But he's letting her live there for free on the off chance that she will.
Right.
And then he's not quite all there.
No. He's about as just like he is in Shawshank.
Yeah.
He's a little gone.
Yeah.
And so I think he gets angry when he sees McClane leave. Oh, because I'm never going to get anything from this girl.
Yep.
So he goes up there, busts in her room.
And that's just it. You don't know he's her landlord.
Right.
And I'm like, why is this dude just walking into somebody's apartment?
This creepy looking
and then,
guy.
oh, you're the landlord, which is still wrong.
Yes.
But it explained it to me.
Yeah. And so, yeah, he does the whole, you live here for free and I'll pay you tomorrow. We'll renegotiate. But he clearly makes it known that what he wants in payment from her.
Yeah.
And then it really takes a strange twist.
When he finds the guns and they're kind of having like a will they won't they moment.
Yeah.
It's
when he kills her with the gun, the machine gun, it's done as if he wasn't gonna
what
get
Jim
off.
Brown did the night before.
Yes. He wasn't gonna get off in the way he wanted. He ended up getting off in a way that he wanted, I suppose.
In a way none of us wanted.
None of us wanted, yeah. So and they didn't kind of reminded me of Harvey Keitel's famous
Bad Lieutenant
scene. Yeah, kind of reminded me of that. And not in a good way. And so
nothing will ever remind me of that in a good way.
No,
that's something I would like to forget.
Yeah. So then like for me, because at first I thought, well, this is just a '60s movie.
Mm-hmm.
The Technicolor is very sharp. The colors were very contrasted in the movie, but the director did a really cool thing. So what the landlord does is you don't get to see. He fires the gun in his weird way.
Yeah.
You don't get to see her killed. You don't get to see the body, but he takes a pure white blanket off a side table, and he flips it, covers her with it. You see him through the gauze, and then it lays on her. And then my favorite part of the movie is as it's laying there, little pops of blood from where she was shot start patterning the kind of like remind me a little bit of I'm like, did somebody read Othello? Because
it's
that's pretty
definitely
much
symbolism. I mean, she's the blanket was basically the symbolism for her basically innocence in the whole thing.
Yeah.
And the blood represented
the corruption of her innocence.
Yes.
Yeah. Very Othello-like.
Yeah.
And so so you get all these little fireworks of blood that start running down the whole blanket, and I thought that was really cool. And so then we cut to the team getting together. He's actually the landlord calls the cops on him.
Yeah.
And so he's left standing there, which I thought they made a really interesting choice too. The rather than the cops just confronting him because he's a black guy standing there.
Mhm.
They say, "Are you the one that called?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm the one that called." And I'm like, "Oh, that's clever. They didn't fight, you know."
Yeah.
He's able to delay the cops because he convinces them that he's the one that called in the murder.
And then he's like, "Who are you?" And he's like,
Yep.
"I'm calling. That's who I am."
It's Jim Brown. He's Jim Brown. I'm gonna make like the Rams and get out of here. And so, yeah, he takes off running. And so I thought that was clever though, because
Mhm.
normally they would have come in, there would have been some sort of shootout,
Mhm.
but no, he just cleverly says, "Yeah, I'm the one that made the phone call." And so he's on the run. This is the classic Reservoir Dogs. Now everyone thinks everyone has screwed everybody.
Yeah.
And so now he's going to confront all of his cohorts and, and basically says to them, explain to me how you didn't set me up. Convince me
Yeah.
it wasn't you that set me up. And so eventually they all end up back together as a group. But then the group turns on him, which is another clever.
Mhm.
So here he is rounding them all up out of anger.
Yeah.
Who set me up? Who killed my girl? Who took the money? And then they all turn on him and said, "You fucked up.
Yeah.
You're the one that lost the money. How do we know you don't have the money? And you're now trying to screw us over."
Yeah.
And so, and there's a scene in a sauna, and to me, it was really, I don't know if cinematic's the right word, but there's a certain part where the director pans back,
Mhm.
and it's that bright aqua green tile.
Yeah.
And it contrasts with all their dark clothes, except
Yeah.
for the woman who's sitting up high and mighty in her
On a
bright
little
dress-
throne.
on a little
looking like,
throne. Yeah. And so it was really cool how you got the guys fighting over her
Mhm.
because she sort of starts directing them to beat the crap out of Jim Brown. But just the fact there are all these huddled black masses in this bright green room, I just thought was a really clever
Mhm.
contrast. And they're all kind of hunched over at each other. And then they just beat the crap out of Jim Brown.
I think.
Although he took it pretty well.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it was just an excuse to show off Jim Brown's abs.
Right. Well, and Ernest Borgnine's toughness because it was the muscle.
You know, Borgnine's beating the shit out of him.
Yeah.
And Brown's probably thinking, "Why did I hire a strong man?
Right. Exactly. I should have hired a weak guy.
Let the driver do it."
Yeah. So they were. I mean, it was interesting.
Mhm.
So, and they all turn on each other. Even his original ex, Gladys, turns on him and says, "I want my money."
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I just love that scene though when he's kind of got the upper hand, thinks he has the upper hand. He's holding all of them accountable,
Mhm.
and then they almost talked beforehand because they
Mhm.
just all immediately turn to him and grab him. I mean, so a lot, like I said, a lot of stuff. Clearly, that's a conversation that happened off camera. So a lot of stuff happens off camera.
Yeah.
And speaking of off camera, you find out that so they order him to, go get the, you either get the money or we're gonna take it out of you.
Mhm.
And so he's on his way to try to figure it out. And then he figures out that a detective who investigated the death of his ex somehow figures out it was the landlord, kills the landlord,
Yeah.
which all happens off camera. All of this stuff happens. It's
And-
basically a newspaper article.
Yep.
Tells you what happened. It just shows a headline.
Which is a giveaway that the detective has the money.
Correct.
Because there's no need to kill the guy.
Yes,
Other than
yes.
take the money.
Correct. Yeah, so the detective now has the money. And then we get Gene Hackman, doing great acting as Walter Brill. And so, yeah, he set up he not only is bucking for a promotion by getting the landlord, the evil landlord, but he also keeps all the money, which is what, they said like 580 grand.
Yeah.
So $500,000.
Which in 1968, like what's $500,000 in 1968 money now?
Yeah, a lot.
If you guys in the audience know, let us know down below what that translates into in
Correct.
2025.
And then divide it by 6, because
Yes.
it was 6, so we would know how each one would have got away with. And then I think, again, an interesting plot twist is in a normal movie, McClane would hunt down the detective. There would be some shadowy confrontation between the two.
Mhm.
The detective would probably have guys backing him up and chase the guy out. Nope. None of that typical crap happens, which is why I really like this movie.
But that's also
Choices.
typical of that type of genre of fiction too, where there's more just, Jim Brown's character, McClane knew to go in there and to talk to him right then and there because he wouldn't be able to do anything.
Yeah, I love that. I love the confrontation scene in the police precinct. And again, the bright precinct was interesting. And so
it was the 60s, man.
It was the 60s, and I love that. If we were reviewing this for James Bond, the scenery would get an A+.
Yes.
Or I'm sorry, 007.
We get a 007.
Yes. And so he confronts him right, in his, as he says, if I really had done all this, would I be confronting you right here? And so they agree to. I love the fact that McClane basically says, I just want my split.
Yep. and that's all Parker ever wants, because Parker is McClane and pseudonym. All Parker ever wants is what's coming to him. But it never works out that way.
No. Yep. So they hatch a scheme to lure all the other guys out, get rid of them, and he'll take his cut, and the cop can have the rest.
Yep.
Which I thought was kind of interesting, an interesting setup. So then we get to the climactic end scene.
The railroad tracks, the switching yard shootout.
Which also then turns into, it ends up by ships in a harbor too, because Borgnine ends up dying.
Hand in hand. I'm sure.
It reminded me, the scene reminded me of the beginning of The Usual Suspects, when they have the battle in the shipyard.
Oh yeah.
And so, but so they and they don't, a very efficient battle. It was kind of cool. I felt it was very tense. There's a lot of tension.
Yeah.
But
you were like when Warren Oates gets gacked in the back, and you're like, that was it. I said, well, this isn't a pecking post movie. Riddled with
no. But they just got him. They tricked him into following McClane, and Gene Hackman just shoots him right in the back, and he's gone. And then I thought Jack Klugman's character got a better death when he gets winged, and then he climbs away on the top, and he's spitting out his machine gun at him, and Hackman and Jim Brown take him out, and he does the flip off the back. So
Jack Klugman's underrated. Everybody remembers Quincy, but I think he's underrated as an actor.
Yeah. And as the husband of
Brett Somers.
Yes, he's great on Match Game.
When he was on Match Game with her, they were divorced already.
Right. Yeah.
So it was fun watching the two of them nag at each other.
Correct. Yeah, and then we're down to of course we missed Donald Sutherland gets killed in the when they have the first.
Oh yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah. So Jim Brown escapes by breaking the some of the steam, turning the steam on, basically
just
cooks Donald Sutherland. Gladys gets shot. She's dead.
Yeah.
And so that's how he escapes them to begin with. And then he sets them all up. So anyway, but in the final scene. So then we're, of course, down to, and I think this is great, even though he got the and billing in the original credits, Ernest Borgnine did, he got third billing at the end of the movie.
Yep.
In the trailer, he's got fourth billing. But so he's the last man standing. Bert's standing against Hackman and Jim Brown. And so they do the classic fake out where they offer, the cop offers him, the cut. Let's get rid of McClane. You come with me. Is distracting him and talking to him while Jim Brown circles around and then is able to shoot him. But he does get a nice death. He gets a shot in the back, and then he
gets that great fall between the two ships. The Poseidon Adventure and Poseidon Adventure 2.
Who knows? That's right. They would come back later. Yes, and be adversaries once again. So I thought it was great. It was a lot of great set pieces. We'll get to the end in a minute.
Okay, because I have a theory about the end.
Oh yeah, no, I do too. But what do you want to talk? Let's talk about the end. So then, Borgnine's dead, and then what happens?
Well, when they divide up the money the way they said they would, because Hackman takes his 50 grand. He's going to turn the rest in.
Right, because that's interesting. Yeah, he's going to only keep 50 grand, turn the rest of the money in, and take credit for foiling the.
Well, no one's going to notice 50,000. I guess, you know, that's pay. He'll be able to buy boats and stuff, and nobody's going to bat an eye. But then Jim Brown gets his money, and that's where they part ways. But then Jim Brown goes to the airport to leave, I assume, Los Angeles, and judging by the football stadium.
Yeah.
And when he's leaving, and they get to the sign, and it says exit, and he hears, what's her name's voice?
Diane Carroll's Ellie's voice.
Yeah, when he hears Ellie's voice behind him and turns, and that's where the movie just stops. That's like, to me, is like he's trying to outrun what he's done.
Yes.
Kind of like in the Creature Commandos, how the bride has to live with the guilt of what she did, you know? He's not going to be able to escape.
He won't be able to exit. Yeah. And they echo that too when he goes to, when Hackman tells him the money's all been under the car seat the whole time. When he stands up, the car seat looks like the blanket with blood on it. And it flashes to that, and he thinks of her when he takes the money. And so was it worth it? Was his cut worth sacrificing her? I agree. He's never going to escape what he did to her.
As a one and done, and not part of an ongoing series, it's a great way to end the movie.
It is a really great way, So it kind of leaves him, haunted in the end. Yeah. So anyway, so on a as we always do with every Ernest Borgnine movie, on a scale of Borg 1 to Borg 9, what do you give The Split?
Okay, as a heist movie, I'm going to give it a Borg 7.
Okay.
But as a Borg 9 movie, I'm going to go with a Borg 5.
Okay.
Because we always want more Ernest Borgnine.
Correct.
Like, look, we could have had Borgnine as Parker.
Yes,
and it still wouldn't have been enough, Borgnine. But no, I'm going to go with a Borg 5.
All right, I'm going to give it for the fact that as a heist movie, it made a lot of interesting choices. And the symbolism always gets it for me. So if you can echo Shakespeare. So I'm going to give it a Borg 8. I just thought I was kind of on the edge of my seat the whole time in the movie. I thought it was just overall, it was a really compelling, fast movie. And I wish parts of it had been longer, but I guess maybe I wouldn't have been on the edge of my seat then. And then as far as Borgnine being in it, I thought for what he was given to play, I'll give him a Borg 7. I think he was in it more than I thought he would be.
Right.
Clearly not the lead. So
All right, just like at the beginning, I'm Paul.
I'm Merc.
And always remember the importance of being earnest.